So early on, when we started reporting these stories and we were looking at people who were severely mentally ill, but were also being accused of very terrible crimes, what we were very conscious, what we were very aware of from the start was that we did not want to stigmatize the mentally ill. We, in fact, very early got pushback from people in the mental illness treatment support community from working on this story, because there was a great deal of fear about that. So we wanted to make sure that as we reported these stories, we were being as careful and considerate and as compassionate as possible toward those who had these severe mental illnesses. Because, what we were looking at wasn't just that yes, they need treatment, they need mental illness, they need supervision, but there are also victims here. There were victims of crimes, very severe, heinous crimes, and they couldn't be ignored either. So we were trying to weigh both areas and make sure that we were showing equal importance to both. When we were reporting these stories, what I was really struck by was the empathy that was felt by the victims in these cases. So one of the cases that we wrote about was a woman who was really brutally, heinously murdered in her apartment. But it was done by a guy who was he had just been absolutely failed by the mental health system. He was, even to this day, he doesn't understand or realize what he did. When I spoke with her parents, they have a lot of empathy for him. They're angry, of course they're going to be angry, but they're also, I think, almost as angry at the system that failed him, that understood that he should not have been there at that apartment that day, that something should have happened where he was restricted from where he was able to go and able to be because he was that mentally ill and that violent when he was mentally ill. There was another case where there was a guy on a bus who was very violent, was very mentally ill, should not have been there, and he randomly shot somebody and, just walked up to a guy, randomly shoots him in the head and runs. And we spoke with the victim's family after, and they were saying the same thing. Like, once we started to understand this guy's background, the perpetrator's background, we were in awe, wondering, why was he even on that bus to begin with? Why was he ever free? He should not have been free. He should be getting the treatment that he needed. He should be getting help. He should be getting support. None of that happened. And because of that, somebody is dead today. I approach anything, let me back up. I approach anybody that I'm working on a story pertaining to with absolute empathy, trying to understand their situation, their position, how they arrived at the point in life that I'm interested in talking to them about. I try not to judge. I try not to make assumptions. I just try to take people as they are, and just try to understand that the people who were writing about the defendants, the perpetrators in these cases, often they didn't know what they were doing. They were so mentally ill that many don't even have a recollection of what they did even today, or what they were accused of or charged with. And that's, that's in a way that's sobering. It helps me to come back to, there's no real villain here, so to speak. There's a system that's let a lot of people down, that's failed a lot of people down on both sides. Even before I started reporting on this, I had absolutely no idea how the system was supposed to work when it came to cases where somebody was found incompetent to stand trial. I mean, it is just an absolutely shielded part of the courts, because we're talking about essentially what is a medical diagnosis. So I think we inform the public about these types of cases without being sensational about them. And I thought that was very important. Second, I think the impacts that we're having, I don't know what they're going to be yet, but there have been several bills introduced in the state legislature that is seeking basically to reform our entire system as to how we handle these competency cases, and entire rewrites of statutes because of these our stories. And I think that is a profound impact that could have years upon years, if not decades, of lasting, hopefully positive reform.